Shalom. Before I get started, I want to give all honor and praises to Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem Rakakwadash. Double honor to the apostles and elders, elder bishops, elder brothers on down, a great millstone who teach and rule well. Peace, blessing, and salutations to the hopeful elect. Again, this is your brother Yaladba. This is a part 2 on In Your Patience Possess Ye Your Souls. Salakia, the video had ended, but I'm gonna just continue on where I left off. It's the book of Luke chapter 21 and verse 12. But before all these, they shall lay their hands on you and persecute you, delivering you up to the synagogues and into prisons, and being brought before kings and rulers for my name's sake, right? So, Yahweh Shai is giving us warning, that, the people, the 2/3, even those closest to us, that, in times of trouble, when this devil getting ready to come down on everybody, man, for his NWO, and the great switch in power and a great shift in all things, that NWO that Esau Edom's getting ready to try to bring down, he's Esau Edom, back to Revelations 12 and 12, that the devil's getting ready to come down with great wrath, man, because he had but a short time. And, within that short time, he's going to persuade the 2/3 to come against us, man, the men of the Lord, because really our people know who we are, man, and Esau Edom does too, but hey, Esau's going to be the devil that he is, and he's going to persuade the wicked to come at us, man, and they going to even gonna lay their hands on us, man, persecute us, man, doing what they can to deliver us up to their councils, and the same thing happened to the apostles, over 2,000 years ago, and it's getting ready to happen again, man, and even to the people who, maybe they not out here teaching like brothers, but they got some type of faith, the Lord know who they are too, and they getting ready to be questioned about their faith, they getting ready to be tested just like the men of the Lord. And the men of the Lord is going to be tested, we all going to be tested, man, to see if we really got the faith, the Rakakwadash, or you just a punk fake Jake, man, so again, counting the cost is important, man, and counting the cost now will be a great help for us in those times, man, of trial, times of great testing, man, is because, hey, we already been, kind of, we not taken, for, by surprise, man. We already, through the spirit, been in that time of trial, been in that time of testing, man. Through the spirit, we've already experienced Esau coming down with great wrath, man. So we already kind of prepared, and in that spirit, like, hey, if I gotta go, then the Wadi Ba'ashem Yahushai, Lord's willing, I was faithful to the end, and I'll be one of the ones that will be raised up first, man, because the dead in Yahweh Shai will rise first, and like in other countries, like in Canada and like the UK, Babylon is gonna soon be following suit to them in their norms of, the public speech and the freedom of the press, and all that thing is going to be slightly being pulled back, man. Your amendments, your constitutional rights, they going to be stripped, man. And Esau Edom won't give a fuck about what you got to argue in that day, man. Everybody's going to be in the same playing field, So also, that's also one more thing to consider, that, hey, everybody's going to be isolated and put on the spot with E, man. As he tries to go at it with his NWO, everybody's going to be on the spot, man. And we know that the 2/3 of our people, they going to, they going to fail the test, man. And they going to be, they just going to let Esau Edom have their way with them. This is the book of Luke, chapter 21 and verse 13. And it shall turn to you for a testimony Settle it, therefore, in your hearts, not to meditate before what ye shall answer, for I will give you a mouth and wisdom, which all your adversaries shall not be able to gainsay or resist. So, hey, man, you know, when they bring us up to the councils and to their kings and to their rulers, we, through the Spirit, we gonna already have that patience, man. We gonna have that cool calmness, that everybody, we gonna have that wisdom, knowledge, and understanding, man, the stability, to the point where it's like, yeah, Lord, put the words in my mouth, give me the wisdom to say what you got me to say. And so they won't be able to gainsay it, and if they get mad and have to chop my head off, well, the Wadi Yahweh Shem Yahushai, I did my part, so when we question and before these kings and rulers, in this world, and they're noblemen, the Lord, he's going to pour out his spirit on us, man. And that's the type of, faith that we got to be in, man. But before all that, you got to, again, self-examinate, you got to count the cost, all that, man. Verse 16, and ye shall be betrayed both by parents and brethren and kinfolks and friends, and some of you shall they cause to be put to death, right? So the Lord is giving us warning that, again, man, even our parents, those who raised us, dudes we call bros outside this truth, kinfolk, friends outside this truth, they gonna cause us to die, man. They gonna rather, they gonna, somehow get some brothers killed, man. But again, that's the will of the Lord. And if bros got to go out that way, then, hey, as long as we keep the faith, and these, this is part of the signs, and the warnings that you got to look out for before his return, man. Verse 17, and ye shall be hated of all men for my name's sake. Again, so, we're already given a warning, and we already in the spirit, like, hey, they gonna hate us already. So, what's to go back to, man? That's why self-examining and counting the cost and praying and talking to Yahweh Shem Yahushai, that's what's gonna keep us stable, man. Verse 18, but there shall not inherit on your head perish. In your patience possess ye your souls, right? So, so what's the Lord is saying here is to be circumspect and to endure, man, because, hey, we already have the victory, whether the Lord perform a miracle, to deliver us from that hell, or we got to just die, man. Hey, we got to just be patient, and we got to be, we got to see ahead, man, and endure that suffering, the book of Zephaniah 3:8, therefore wait ye upon me, saith the Lord Yahweh, until I rise up to the prey, right? So we got to wait on Yahweh Shai, man, because he's going to do, he's the only one who could really beat E, man. Us, we can't beat E right now. We can't beat these other nations, but with Yahweh Shem Yahushai, it'll be a quick work, one with no debates, no arguing, no nothing, just a clean strip of power, man. For my determination is to gather the nations, that I may assemble the kingdoms, to pour upon them my indignation, even all my fierce anger, for all the earth shall be devoured with the fire of my jealousy, man. So we still we are to be patient, man, and wait on Yahweh Shem Yahushai, because whatever happens, the Lord is gonna make sure that we saved anyway, man. So if we remain faithful, all throughout this trouble, man, we gonna be good, man. And the Lord is gonna be the one who's gonna repay these devils double, man. 100-fold, man. So again, praying that Yahweh Bashim Yahushai keeps the spirit on us, you know, his Rakakwadash, you know, upon us to endure whatever is ahead, man. That's what really matters, you know. And again, you know, Sirach, the 2nd chapter, man, you know, my son, if thou come to serve the Lord, prepare thy soul for temptation. So again, this is the spirit that we got to be in, man, preparing our souls for temptation, you know, preparing our minds for what's ahead, you know, the betrayals that we gonna face in this world by, you know, parents and siblings and friends in the world and friends of the family and cousins and things like that, man. You know, we got to prepare our minds for all this, you know. And you know, this is the goal right here. This is the book of Zechariah 13:9. And I will bring the third part through the fire, you know, that's the elect, the 1/3, and will refine them as silver is refined, and will try them as gold is tried. And they shall call on my name, Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, and I will hear them, and I will say, this is my people, and they shall say, Yahweh Bashem Yahushai is my power, man. So, hey, again, you know, what's important is that we count the cost, you know, that we self-examine, you know, that we preparing our souls for temptation, you know, for Revelations 12:12, man, for the devil coming down with great wrath, you know, for he knows but he had but a short time. So we gotta, you know, remain patient, brothers, remain circumspect, you know, watch all things, you know, be alert, you know, be focused, you know, have our minds towards the kingdom, you know, pretty much, you know, that's the lesson, you know. I pray this was an edifying lesson, and I want to give all honor and praises to Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem Rakah HaKodash. Again, double honors and salutations to our apostles and elders, great millstone, who teach and rule well. Peace, blessings, and salutations to the hopeful elect. And with that, shalom.